Hello and happy holidays, patrons. So today I have not so much a full guided practice, but more some ideas for you. I know many of us end up doing some travels during the holidays or really any time of year. And so, that can kind of get in the way of our yoga practice or make it feel like, oh, we can't attend classes online because we don't have all the things we need handy. But I do want to give you some ideas for ways you can practice and things you can do when you are traveling. So I am staying in a hotel right now, and one of the things I always look for when I get to any hotel or any house I'm staying in that isn't mine is what kind of furniture can I use for my yoga practice. Now, before I get to that, though, it goes without saying that, you can be very minimalist when doing your yoga on the go. If you just bring a sticky mat. I mean, you don't even need a sticky mat, but a sticky mat and maybe a block and a strap. You can always do standing poses. You can always do the Supta Padangusthasana poses. Having a block, you can do Brick Setu Bandha. So there are all kinds of things you can do with just a little space like this, a sticky mat, and then maybe a strap and a block, right? So that probably goes without saying, but just a good reminder that we don't have to always be elaborate with our practices. If you happen to be in a place where you are lucky enough to have an ottoman or some kind of bench, that is a wonderful, wonderful prop to have. So, in this hotel I'm staying in, there's this kind of bench ottoman thing. So, this is a wonderful prop for your back bends. And there are a few different ways you can use this. So, we can take it more like a Viparita Dandasana bench, so more like a bench. And of course, you can always stack. You can always stack blankets up on the bench if needed, right? So you can kind of keep it simple, or you can stack blankets up. And then we can use this for our back bends, right? So we can start on this ottoman bench kind of thing. And this is a wonderful way to recover from travel, to take care of your neck and your back while traveling. So we can start here with just a little bit of neck traction, really simple, letting that head kind of just gently hang off the end of the bench. So I'm putting my neck on the edge of the bench here and just allowing for this gentle neck traction, neck support. Nice, soft, easy breath. Keep the abdomen relaxed. Easy in the face. And you can take some time, even spend a few minutes here. This is really great if you've been doing a lot of driving or computer work or even airplane travel where you're in that sort of flexion position with the spine. And then just really going slowly, press down with the heels, make the buttocks light, and then you can start to just little by little slide off the end of your support. Now moving to the tops of the shoulder blades. And I'm just keeping the knees bent for now, hands gently resting on the torso. Easy with the breath. Face relaxed, jaw relaxed, abdomen relaxed here. You can also take some different leg variations here. So we can do the legs crossed, shins crossed in Swastikasana to get some opening through the frontal thighs and the abdominal area. Just make sure that you take time to cross the legs the other way. And then we can slide off a little more, again, pressing through the heels, making the buttocks light, sliding off to the middle shoulder blade area. And you can even stay up. So see how I'm keeping my buttocks a little bit lifted off the support. And that just puts a little more pressure on that middle shoulder blade area and allows for a little bit more of that opening through the middle back region. So putting a little pressure on that upper middle back region. And then here we can start to reach the arms overhead. Now, if you do find that you're sort of slipping to the head side, you can always straighten those legs out if you have room to do so. So some different arm variations you can work with here are arms straight, palms facing up to the ceiling, palms spread. And then we can also have the hands facing each other. Having the hands resting in the crooks of the elbows, so intertwining the arms is really great too to get that shoulder opening.
And remember that if you are in a place where the weather is colder, that coldness can tend to cause tension in the shoulders and neck area and sort of cause us to lift those shoulders up towards the ears. So we do want to do poses that keep that middle upper back region, shoulder region mobile, keep the blood circulating through there, especially in the colder weather. Again, we can take different leg variations here. So we can take cross legs, swastikasana. You can also take Baddha Konasana legs, feet together, knees apart. So bottoms of the feet together, knees apart for Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. And then if you're doing asymmetrical arm positions, just be sure to change the hook of the arms, allowing those arms to reach overhead. Another good arm variation is to take the palms and press them together in like a prayer position, namaskar, and then take the tips of those thumbs and put them underneath that notch of the chin, and then let that pressure of the hands and the arms on the chin allow that throat to gently open and the head to go back. So many of us hold a lot of emotional tension in the throat, so we want to do poses that allow that throat area to open. And then, of course, we can also work on our Urdhva Dhanurasana arms here, upward facing bow pose. So you can place those hands flat on the floor. Now make sure the arms are parallel here, so we don't want the elbows winging out, but you have those hands flat on the floor, about shoulder width apart, and then you line up shoulder, elbow, and wrist. Now, if you want to get a little more fancy with this and do some more strength building, if you feel confident in this one, you can press those hands into the floor and then lift the buttocks up and take an Urdhva Dhanurasana from here. So getting a little bit more into some intermediate type of work. This is a really lovely way, actually, I find, to do Urdhva Dhanurasana with the lower body elevated. It creates a nice lightness in the pose. You can really get those arms perpendicular to the floor, and it really allows a nice opening through the chest and upper back region. So you can practice even coming in and out of Urdhva Dhanurasana this way. Just careful on the descent. Now, I feel pretty comfortable here in this pose, but if you're afraid of your furniture sliding out from you, you can always obviously press it against a wall so it won't move out from you. But again, this is a really lovely way to practice Urdhva Dhanurasana. Now, of course, if you want to get really fancy, you could even start walking in from here. You could work on some Ekapadas, lifting one leg. My sticky mouse kind of sliding around on my furniture, though, so I'm not going to do that. All right, and then to come out, you can just slide off to that head side, tucking the chin to the chest, sliding on out. So it may also be worth pointing out that we can also work with this support in the horizontal direction. So this would mimic more of an Urdhva Dhanurasana to take the support this way, and then you could work on having those feet flat on the floor. So I'll just show briefly this variation here. So in some ways, I find this to even be better than a chair, really. If you're lucky enough to have an ottoman at home, you could use these instead of a chair. Although the chair has other great usages for our back bends and other poses. But so see, now I'm mimicking that shape of Urdhva Dhanurasana with support. And then you can also work to straighten the legs here to really allow those roots of the thighs to descend, the front thighs to open. And we can take our arm variations here as well. With this one, I find that it's best to just sit up, leading with the chest. You can press with the elbows, take the upper back in, and lead with the chest to come up. Okay, so of course we could also take, different seated poses, seated twists, forward bends, using something like this as head support. Even something really simple like a supported malasana. So sometimes when people have knee issues and they're not able to squat, knee or hip issues, we do this on a chair. This can be a really great thing to do as well. If you feel tight in the hips and you feel like you need some low back release, just have those legs wide and slightly turned out. And then you come forward in between the legs, allowing the shoulders, head, neck to soften. This also gives a nice opening for the hips, and really just let the head be soft, the neck be soft. Take full, soft, smooth breaths, breathing into those back lungs. This is a really great one too for just head, neck tension. And then once again, even simple forward bend, something like an Uttanasana with head support, really nice for quieting the nervous system. Or if you're just tighter in the hips, hamstrings, low back, something like this can be really great too for releasing mental tension and allowing for a gentle opening in the backs of the legs. Now, there are other ways that you can work with furniture that you may have on hand. So, one thing that I was finding, I was actually taking a class this morning where there was a lot of work with Padmasana, and I found that, especially for those of us who may struggle with Padmasana, let's say you have a knee issue or whatever, or just you're stiff or you're tight or you're newer to yoga, doing lotus pose can be a little extreme and maybe out of the question for some of us sometimes, but we can work on hip openers. So you can work on some of your Padmasana type action using a tall support like this. So again, this may take a little bit of guidance from an experienced teacher, but for those of you who are experienced, working on your Padmasana legs on a tall support like this high sort of TV stand, this is a really wonderful hip opener. So I have the shin perpendicular to me. So there's a straight line between my knee and my ankle. And then from here, I can even gently bend forward. Again, be careful with this one if you're not as seasoned of a student. You would probably want to get guidance from an experienced teacher first. But I know many of you have a strong practice and you've been practicing yoga for many years. So this is well within reach. So I'm holding my outer ankle and then I'm bringing that leg up so that my knee and ankle are in one line. And I'll show on this leg. I find this to be a really wonderful hip opener. And even when the knees are not happy about doing Padmasana, I personally do find that this one is well within reach for me. Of course, listen to your body, do what's wise for you. But this, for me, I feel like gets a really great release in that outer hip area. You can stay for a minute to two on each side. And then just be careful coming out of these poses, be really mindful of your knees. Okay, there's one more I want to show you. I want to show you how you might do a supported shoulder stand or Viparita Karani with a couch. So a couch can be a wonderful tool in a hotel room or wherever, relative's house, wherever you may be staying. So what you can do is if you have, especially kind of a low couch like this one, I'm going to take a few blankets, and you may not be traveling with blankets, but you might be able to find something where you are. I'm going to take some blankets and just stack them up. And since I don't have all my shoulder stand blankets, I happen to have 3 blankets. I usually use 5 for shoulder stand. I'm just kind of keeping them folded, not all the way open. So like shoulder stand height, how do I say this? Shoulder stand height, and then I'm folding them in half. And then I'm making a little stack of 3. So these will be my shoulder stand blankets. So I usually use 5, but I'm just going to use 3 because this is what I have. So I'll just show what that setup looks like here. So I have this setup of 3 stacked blankets right up against the chair. And then this is how we can work on our supported shoulder stand. This could be a nice little bolster, something like this. You could use this like a pranayama pillow or underneath the knees for shavasana. So all different ways that we can work with the things we have handy. And then I'm just going to take my sacrum, my pelvis up on the couch, and I'm going to just slide off till my shoulders are on the support. My head is flat on the floor. I have that little Jalandhara Bandha chin tuck. And then, this feels amazing. This is a nice sort of Viparita Karani more of a chair shoulder stand variation here. And then to take the legs up like this, then you can get into Viparita Karani. So this actually gives me a really nice lift for the pelvis.
I have support for the shoulders so that the neck is not in extreme flexion. And then once again, we can also take our different leg variations here, taking the shins crossed and allowing for that opening through the frontal hips. You know, it's so important to get this opening through the frontal hips, especially if you are doing a lot of sitting, which can happen with holiday gatherings, that can happen with travel. So here we want to get this nice lift of the chest, almost a verticality of the chest, and then a softness in the abdomen. And then again, you can extend those legs out long, taking more a chair shoulder stand variation. Allow the chest to lift to the chin. So it's not that you're digging the chin into the chest, but there is a length in the back of the neck. For those that are familiar with Jalandhara Bandha, it's like a closing off of the a contact between the chest and the chin. So there's a sort of closing off of that frontal throat area. But keep a softness in the throat, softness in the jaw. And then to come out here, you would just simply slip slide off towards the head side. And then you could even take a little restful pose here with those legs elevated, really nice again. If you've been traveling and you've been on your feet a lot, if you've had the legs below the heart, it's so good to get these legs up above the heart for the venous return, for lymphatic drainage. So you can just rest here with those legs up and even take this as a sort of Shavasana. All right, and then actually I will show you one more little thing that I find to be a really lovely thing to do also that doesn't take a lot of support. If you find a bench of some sort or a little counter or even the edge of a couch where you're okay to put your feet up there, you can do some really nice hip openers here. So you can take one leg up in sort of a Marichyasana position, both legs parallel, and then I'm just reaching down towards the floor on the inside of that bent leg. This is a really excellent hip opener. So if you are working on hip mobility, suppleness in the hips, Padmasana, really great way to work. And I'm just reaching towards the floor. You can also put your hands on a block. And then, of course, you would make sure to do both sides. All right, I'm keeping it short and sweet today. So just some ideas for things to do when you're traveling on the go, if your holidays or various travels take you far from home. I hope you enjoy this. Let me know how it goes for you. And of course, feel free to send in your thoughts, ideas, and experiences as well. I would love to see how you're improvising when you are taking your yoga practice away from home. Happy holidays, everybody.